So I was just sitting here and I kind of realized that my channel uses a lot of community-specific lingo that may seem impenetrable to audiences not in the know. And while I'm of course aware that all of my viewers are hyper-intelligent geniuses with chiseled jawlines, perfect hair, and rippling muscles, even the girls, I was thinking maybe I should do something to explain the words I use so I don't leave anyone behind. You know, just in case any of my followers forgot some of this stuff due to a recent head wound from fighting a bear or any of the other undoubtedly truly epic stuff y'all get up to. Does this count as a primer episode? I mean, I'm telling you all about stuff that you may or may not know to get you ready to watch a series of videos. The format hasn't been set in stone yet. Screw it. Gotta reinforce that brand. Welcome to the second primer episode. Collector lingo. Parts forming. Parts forming is where a piece of a figure is intentionally removable. This ranges from very good, like when figures have swappable heads with different expressions, to a very, very bad thing when it's used as a way for lazy or cheap designers to cheat a transformation. Basically, they will have a part of the Altmode either come off and cease to exist as far as the robot is concerned, or they'll have it come off one place and then recombine with the figure elsewhere so they don't have to do the work of figuring out how to get it where it's supposed to go. I think I was scarred by this as a child when I went with my mother to an outlet mall 2 hours from my house and I found a, finger quotes, transforming toy. And I'm not actually going to do the finger quotes in real life because I'd have to have fingers as muscular as the entirety of Arnold Schwarzenegger's body to be able to do them as powerfully as this transformation would mandate. Basically, it didn't transform so much as it came with a tray full of other parts that you had to swap out and completely rebuild the figure with, and then you lose a bunch of the parts from the mode that it was already into the tray. Nothing about that was good or fun, and about half the parts went missing within a month. Shellforming, the less common companion to parts forming that I don't really ever see anyone try and defend. Shellforming is really what it says on the tin. It's what it sounds like. Shellforming is where a figure's alt mode is a shell that you encase them inside. Like, they don't really transform, they just kind of ball up and then you seal them in. Siege Starscream is kind of a shellformer. I don't have anything that's really adequate to represent this. Okay, I'll improvise. Look, his alt mode is a suitcase! That's basically what shellforming is. Alt mode. Probably should have started with this one considering it's the most fundamental. And alt mode is what the transformer turns into that's not its robot mode, though sometimes the robot mode has a loose definition. The reason it's called the alt mode is because not all transformers turn into cars, otherwise it'd be called a vehicle mode, which is also a very common term. A lot of figures are going to end up as tape players, tapes, stretches of road, dinosaurs, and robot dinosaurs. So a more generalized name was given to them. Would Trypticon and Skylinks have alt modes and vehicle modes, or would they have beast modes and alt modes? Or are these robot beast modes? Seeker. Now that's an easy one. It's a Decepticon jet or light aerial craft, typically ones that don't have a distinct look. People will usually say that the Seekers are copies of Starscream, but just look at the Coneheads. I've never seen anyone argue that they aren't Seekers, but they're definitely not copies of Starscream. So yeah, basically just Decepticon jets that aren't unique, like Blitzwing and Trigger Happy aren't liable to get lumped in with the Seekers despite the fact that they are both jets. Kibble. What is the order I put this video's talking points in? Kibble is another thing that ranges from good to bad. In its most technical sense, it's just any part of the robot mode that's not part of the robot. So like Grimlock. This stuff here, his is good because it's so iconically Grimlock. But like Alpha Bravo, his is just crap hanging off of him that doesn't look any good. Then you got Siege Prime, and he's got like this, and that, and it's not that offensive. But the baggy arms are not a positive feature. And then you got Earthrise Prime, who is almost completely kibble-free, except for this extremely distracting part stuck on his ass. And before you say anything, yes, I know that it comes off, but then I'd just be trading kibble for parts forming, and that's not a lateral trade. That's very retrograde. Size classes. So this is going to be a pretty straightforward one, though perhaps a little on the long side. So Hasbro doesn't just call their figures the big ones, the normal ones, the small ones, or really, really small ones. They gotta do something with a little more marketing pizzazz. As a result, they've given different names to all the different sized figures you can buy and attached a price point to that name. Sub-Legends class, the teeny tiny boys. Yeah, so there's no real name for this size class. It's relatively recent. It kind of really started with the Titan Masters in Titan's Return, then the Prime Masters in Power of the Primes, which was the same thing but worse. Then it became the Battle Masters in Siege, it stayed in Earthrise, and now it looks like it might be out in Kingdom, but that has in no way been confirmed. I guess a precursor to them might have been the Minicons in the Armada toy line. These typically sell for $6, adjust up or down if your currency is more or less valuable than the US dollar. Legends class, the small boys. These have been around for a while. Really, they are the small ones. I don't know what else to call them. They're small, typically used to represent small characters. These are $10, though a lot of the time that price can come off as kind of high. Less than double that will get you a figure more than 3 times the quality. Speaking of, deluxes, the normal boys. These are going to be the typical troop builder characters. They are what the bulk of Transformers figures consist of. They are supposed to represent typical Cybertronians. They can be anywhere from 2 to 6 times more common than any other size class in a line. $18. Voyagers, the big boys. Are you sick of me saying boys yet? Because I'm not. Anyways, these are typically going to be the characters that are considered something of a bruiser, or characters that are just more important as far as the fandom is concerned. You'll see Soundwaves and Starscreams in the size class along with Blitzwings and Onslaughts. They also tend to be roughly the size of the smaller Masterpiece figures. If Masterpiece had a deluxe scale, this would be what that looks like. These also tend to be the more gimmick-laden figures. They're just big enough and expensive enough to start making gimmicks more possible. So you'll see things like spring-loaded gimmicks and every Voyager being a triple changer. These go for $30. Leader class, the huge boys. These guys are a bit different. They tend to be the most gimmick-heavy figures of their respective lines, and they've recently had a massive downgrade in size. It used to be all the way up until Siege, these were the scale of the larger Masterpiece figures. Now they're typically somewhere between that and the next size smaller figures. What was promised with Siege was that they'd be Voyager figures that came with armor that would turn them into leader-sized figures. That was true of precisely one figure, Ultra Magnus. The only other figure to come close to that was the only other leader in Siege Wave 1, and that was Shockwave. All the others since have been Voyagers with more than typical accessories. I don't know about you, but I don't think it's been an even trade. Anyways, Commander class. gigantic boys. There are only 2 of these so far. I don't know what to tell you. These are in fact very recent. So there's really been no cohesion yet. It was kind of invented for Siege Jetfire, and then the next obvious candidate for that was Skylynx, who was probably about 10 times the size of Jetfire in the show, but hey. Anyways, the only common theme so far is lots and lots of battle effects and being characters that were much larger than typical in the original show. As far as I can attest to size, Jetfire seems to scale with the typical oversized Masterpiece figures or the Giga-powered Dinobots. Skylynx is a little too much of a freak to be easy to make size comparisons with. I honestly don't know how far they can take this. To my pretty vast knowledge of the Transformers franchise, there's really only 2 characters this size class can fit, Skyfire and Skylynx. Who else can they stick in here without turning that character massively out of scale? Titan class, the biggest of boys. These are truly massive figures that eat up space like Unicron. I'm very proud of that play on words. Anyways, these tend to be Titan characters. Titan characters being characters that are supposed to be the size of cities, though Omega Supreme isn't supposed to be that big. One problem, there's only 5 of these characters. Metroplex, Omega Supreme, Trypticon, Fortress Maximus, and Scorponok. And this isn't a size class that you can just force any big characters into. So I'm seeing credible reports that this size class is ending with Kingdom, and that from here on out, we are going to see 2 Commander class figures in each line instead, which raises its own problem because there aren't that many abnormally huge but not unbelievably massive characters to choose from. I'm pretty sure they've run the gamut already, so I'm interested to say the least. You know what? I want to rename these size classes to something a little more evocative. What does Legends class mean? What does Deluxe mean? If you don't know, their names don't tell you anything. It's like looking at a shop sign in the street that just says Cormapomp. It's like, okay, is that the owner? Is that what they sell? Is it food? What is a Cormapomp and why do you think that means anything? Anyways, sub-legends, accessory class, because that's basically all they amount to. Legends, Scrappy-Doo class. They're small, but that doesn't mean they can't kick your ass. Side note, I actually like Scrappy-Doo. I'm sure about half of you are going to unsubscribe for hearing that. Deluxe, normal guy class, because that's what this is. Voyagers, bruiser class, because that's what this is. They don't all have to be funny, they just have to be clear. Leader class, big boys. Just going to steal that one from Javi. Commander class, Skybiner. Skylynx, Skyfire, Combiner, Skybiner. Titan class, Titan Maximum. 1, because it fits. 2, because it's a play on words. And 3, because I really liked Titan Maximum and it's a crime that's not getting a second season. Anyways, that's all the lingo I could think of. There's always a chance I'm forgetting something obvious and crucial, so if I did, please, and I'm serious about this, tell me in the comments. I might just make a second one of these if people like it and I have stuff I forgot. And that's not half of what I have to say, if I forgot stuff, but it's enough of what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.